Hello, welcome back to another video tutorial here at Geekatplay Studios. My name is Gary Miller. In Cinema 4D, and I think the same could be said for all modeling programs, you really cannot do anything. You cannot create anything complex unless you have the ability to accurately and easily line objects up against one another. In Hexagon, I've created several tutorials where I've demonstrated the ease and the flexibility and the speed in which Hexagon allows you to line one object up next to another, usually with the lay on command or the point snapping tool, and you cannot beat Hexagon for its ease and simplicity and its speed in which you pretty much do anything. And today's tutorial, I want to show how to align objects up in Cinema 4D with other objects so that you can, create a fence, create whatever it is that you want. So I'm going to start off with two cubes, make them editable, and I'll just take one, move it over there. All right. Well, what I want to do, and let's select this one, and we will really move it around. There we are. Okay. I want to take this cube and line it right up next to this cube, and I want to do so by putting this face flush against this face. Well, I wish this the snapping or the lining alignment tools in Cinema 4D were like Hexagon. It's not, but at the same time, because it's a little bit more complicated, it allows for far greater precision and flexibility in terms of the options that it gives you. So it's not as fast and efficient as Hexagon, but depending upon what you're modeling, you've got many more options available to you. Okay, well, in order to snap this face or this polygon to this one, I need to be up here on the move tool. And this, using the snap settings, has always been a problem for me because I always work in the live selection tool. I rarely click on the move tool, and so I've always had problems getting the snapping tools. Now, there's several ways you can bring up the snapping tools. One, you can be on the move tool and you have your snap settings here, or you can hit the P key on your keyboard, which will bring up the snapping tools. And if you want to break this off, tear it off and create your own window, then at this little knurled or checkered pattern right up here, just click that, and now you've got all the snapping tools here at your fingertips. Well, I'm going to use the move tool, and I will utilize these snap settings right here. I'm going to come over here and enable snapping, 3D snapping. Now I want to take this polygon and line it up to this polygon. So I'm just going to do polygons and Polygon Center. That way the center of this one will line up to the center of that one. So let me just move. I'm going to increase the radius, make it move a little bit quicker for me, and I'll just move it down, and there it is. It snapped right there. Oh, well, wait a minute. I have polygon and polygon center enabled. What's going on? Well, let's change our display here to hidden. I wanted this polygon center to be lined up with this one. So why do I have that? This is not a polygon center. The center here is a polygon center, but not that. So why is that lining up? Well, you got to think about what we are telling the program to do. We are telling the program that on this selected cube, I want to line up this movement or modeling axis to this center polygon. So when we move them up to one another, now you see why it is doing what it's doing. It's lining up the modeling axis to this polygon center. In fact, on this cube that we have selected, we'll click on the modeling axis, and the axis is orientated to the selected object and the axis of the selected object and the orientation of the axis. So the orientation is this modeling axis will be lined up to this polygon center, and now you see why it's doing what it's doing, and that makes sense now. Let's come back to a garage shading. Well, that's not what I want. I want this polygon to be lined up with this polygon. So in order to get it to do what we want, let's just come over here and click on the axis widget. And all I'm going to do is move the modeling axis where I want it to be, which is right here on the center of this polygon. I'm going to click back over here, and now it's lined up exactly how I want. If you're familiar with silos modeling tools, this works in a very similar fashion to how Silo works. All right, well, let's explore some of these other options here. We have point snapping. So let's move our axis widget, and that's pretty self-explanatory. There we go. Back to modeling, and I will move it, and it will snap according to its proximity to a point. There we go. And to that point, I probably want to bring the radius down. Now, the radius, all that is it determines probably in meters, which is what the default measurement setting is. When my point gets to within, say, 46 or whatever this setting is, meters of say another point, then it will snap to it. And by default, I think it's set at 10. Check out what happens when you crank it up really high. Now at this distance right there, it snaps. I mean, here's my polygon. Bink! So probably don't want to dial it down a little bit. So that's a nice feature. Okay, let's reset the orientation of this. Well, my tools are, because I'm working in a large screen. Let me icon size. Let me make these small. There we are. Okay. Well, what I want to do is let's show you the edge one, and you can have multiple or all of these selected. Of course, the thing's going to jump around a lot because you have told it snap here, snap here, snap here, snap here. So just to make life easier, edge and midpoint edge, and whoops, let's snap it right up there. There we go. And not only does it snap to an edge, but it snaps to the midpoint of an edge as well. So that's how that works. And pretty much all these others are self-explanatory. You probably will find, if you work in perspective mode, you will have the greatest degree of success and precision in snapping where you want it to go if you work in Snap 3D mode. There's several other modes here, and I'm not going to get into them, but in Body Paint here or Cinema 4D, you definitely want to check out the Help program, and it really is a program that comes with Cinema 4D. It's a great tool that offers that works really well, and you don't have to have an online connection for it. see snap settings, and it goes into great detail explaining what all your tools do. So if you want to know what the different snap types are, 2D, 2.5, 3D, here you go right there. And you can read up on them and explore them yourself. Okay, well, I've shown what the snapping tools do. What else can I do? Well, these are the very basic snapping tools. And if you want more precision, if you want to be able to do a lot more, fortunately Cinema 4D allows for a lot greater precision, exactness, and just some zany possibilities. So let's say, for example, I'm just going to make a bunch of copies of this cube, and reposition them. And I want to turn off snap settings for this. Let's say this is a fancy building with lots of different sides and modifications. And one more. And I think I will grab an edge here. Loop live selection, grab that edge right there. And I want to be in world mode for my modeling axis. And I'll grab that edge and I will move it in. Oh, I'll move it out. Okay. Now bear with me here. This, and you'll see why I'm doing all this. I will, let's connect it. Delete those. Okay, so I have this. See, here again is a benefit of having this center axis tool. I created all this, joined all these polygons together to create this abstract shape. Well, here by default is where my modeling axis is. Well, I don't want that. And to try to figure out manually where it is and to plug in those numbers here, well, forget that. That would be impossible. I'll just click right there, and there we go. Now my modeling axis is right in the center of my object. Well, this is a pretty convoluted object, and I want to demonstrate some of the other tools that are available for snapping. I'm going to come up here to Function and use my Measure and Construction tool. And this has several different possibilities to it, so I just want to demonstrate what some of them are. Some of them may not apply to anything you would ever do, which is fine. At least you'll be aware of them should you ever have the need. So the Measure and Construction tool allows you to take measurements of your object from any area of it that you would desire. So the way this tool works is with this cube selected, I'm going to hold down Shift and Control. Now I will automatically snap to points, center of edges, and center of polygons. So with Shift and Control held down, I'm going to drag from this point right here down to that point. Now I'm going to hold down Control, and now I can snap to another location, say the middle of this polygon down here, or over to here. And it gives me a measurement reading. Well, that's pretty easy. I know the measurement reading off the top of my head without looking at anything, because it's a primitive cube that I created. I haven't done anything to it, so I know its measurements are 200 by 200 by 200, and that's confirmed for me down here in the size in my coordinate manager. But what it also shows you, this 90 degrees, it tells me that this degree reading here is 90 degrees. And that's very helpful because let's suppose I were making this to be a, my own custom shape. I wouldn't know off the top of my head, and I don't know of any other tools except this one in Cinema 4D, which will give me the reading of this angle here. And it's totally live, and it doesn't go away unless I specifically tell it to go away. So I can select my other object here. I don't know, make whatever adjustments I want to it. And this measurement reading is still there, so if I do come back to it, let's select an edge there. If I come back to it, it's still live. And that would be very helpful. Say if, let me create a primitive cube here, make it editable. There we are. Let me move it over here out of the way. This all would be very helpful if you were, say, to be creating a rooftop. Let me use the cut tool. I don't want snap. I want it loop. I guess center of the edge here would be fine. Okay, if I were creating a roof and if I were eyeballing this, say that's what I wanted my rooftop to look like, I wouldn't know what this angle was. And if I had to be absolutely precise, that might be kind of an important consideration to know. Well, with the measure and construct tool, come right over here, hold down shift and control, drag from there to there, hold down control, and I always forget which direction to do this from. Let me redo this again. I'm going to do from here to there. No. I always forget which direction I need to do this from. There to there. There we are. Okay, now it tells me that it's 93 degrees. So let's say it has to be a precise measurement. Well, now I can dial it in and adjust it to however I want it to be. So that is an important, very important tool, and obviously I did not snap correctly, so let's try this again. There to there. There we are. So you can dial this in and get a precise angle here on your objects. Well, this tutorial is about snapping, so why am I showing you this? Well, because this tool does not end there. Let me delete that object. Okay, with my cube selected, actually I'm going to select this smaller cube. Which one is it? There it is. This tool has many different features to it. Let's choose measure and construct. I don't want these measurements anymore, so I'm going to delete them, create a new measurement, and I'll just show you that you can do many different things with it. Now hold down control, snap it to there, and you know what, I want a new measurement. I want to Let me select both of these. I want to find out what the distance is, say from this point to any part of this object over here. So I'm going to hold down Shift and Control, and let's just say right there. It tells me what the distance is, and of course I could create another one, and let's say snap there, and it tells me what the angle is too, 69.254. And you can have multiple measurements displayed at the same time, simultaneously. Let's select this one, and I'll just demonstrate here very quickly. New measurement there, and say to the center of that polygon. Now, whenever I move my object, everything remains live, and all my measurements still are there. Well, let's say I want to get rid of everything. Delete measurement, delete function. Let's delete these. I know there's a way to delete them. Well, we'll leave those for now. I'm not going to spend the time figuring out how to delete all of them. Here is why I wanted to show this tool for alignment and snapping. I'm going to select both of these objects and come up here, choose the measure and construct. Now let's say I want this polygon right here that I am outlining, this polygon to be snapped to the center of this polygon. With my measure and construct tool, I will hold down Shift and Control, drag from that center polygon to there. And you need to have the both items selected like I've got up here. Now it shows me several things. It shows me the distance between these two objects, and that's confirmed for me here. Well, if I want to bring this object over to this object, all I have to do, well, for one, I can just move it like this, or I can make life simpler for me. Type in 0, enter, and it snaps right to it. Let me undo that. Let's suppose I want this object to be snapped to this one, according to the center of both of those polygons. Well, I can do that by creating a new measurement, drawing from this object to this object, or I can just reverse it. I'm going to click on this button here, and notice now my other one moves. And I'll type in 0, and there it is. So that is how snapping and alignment work here in Cinema 4D. Remember, you got to be, for the most part, on your Move tool, because that's what will bring up your snap settings, or hit the P key on your keyboard, which you can bring up a floating window, or you can do like what I have done. Let me change the icon size so they're small. I have all my snap settings in their own toolbar right here on my interface here, and some of my other tutorials I've demonstrated how to go about doing that. Or you can always head on over to C4D Cafe and learn a little bit more with their tutorials. So that's it for this tutorial here at Geekatplay Studios. It's a little bit lengthy, but I wanted to cover everything all at once. So thanks for watching. My name's Gary Miller. Have a good day.